Ready?
Hi! Welcome to the Special K podcast, Unwrapped. My name is Jules, and this is Christy Graham Kumabe.
I need something to add to it. I'm just like,
Why don't we get you a tambourine? So you go. We got the giggles this morning. We've been having some pre-podcast chat, just pregnancy, my relationships, and the trauma I put myself through. I just need to relax. You know what it was like though when you were like, or maybe in work with your three boys, did you just, especially your first, were you like, you just kind of want to be prepared for everything and you go into bloody overdrive?
I think you do. And I think a lot of people talk about that, their first child, they're overprotective, they're like too strict, they're too this, too that. You're washing everything, you're wiping everything, you're wiping the hands, you're wiping this. The second one, you're a little bit calm one. The third one, you're just like,
no,
you'll be right.
Dust it off.
You'll be sweet.
Yeah,
And you hear that all the time.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think you do see it come out in their personalities a little bit, like my first one. He's super sensitive, a little bit more OCD with things, his clothes are all lined up, whatever.
Yeah.
And then the second one, like everything's in, or like we make them do their own rooms or whatever. Yeah. And then the third one, there's just shit everywhere. And I'm like, as long as you can find it, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's literally 1, 2, 3. It's so funny. It's like, put your clothes away. He's the first one to come down. Like, did you put them away? He's like, yep.
Yeah, just chucks everything into the thing.
Whatever.
Oh, gosh. Anyway. Oh, look, I'm sure I'm going to bloody learn a lot. Now, in today's episode, we are going to be we're actually going to get very serious with this one because we're going to talk about social media and that ugly side of social media, which is, social media, like bullying, essentially, is what you call it. We hear a lot about it with kids, like getting bullied from school. And then if they've got a phone and then it comes home with them and they're getting bullied. We've had some really tragic stories like across the news where
it seems to be getting worse and worse. Something that it's such a hard one, isn't it? Like, how do you control that? But there's just there's so much.
Yeah,
and
it's
I think
scary.
we talk about it with kids a lot, but I think what we wanted to touch on was like we cop it too.
Yes,
As
that it
adults,
happens.
We cop it so much.
Yeah.
And we don't talk about it like it's abuse or bullying, but it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
It totally is.
And it's even more disgusting that it's adults that are actually doing this with a fully formed brain.
And I think because it's keyboard warrior, it's unfiltered.
Yeah.
So it can be 10 times worse than me sitting in front of you and saying something to your face.
Yes.
Because they're hiding behind the keyboard and the screen, and it's unfiltered. Let's say whatever the frick they want.
Yeah.
So I think in that regard, it cuts even deeper, doesn't it?
It does.
Like it makes it 10 times worse.
Yeah. And it's like, it's easy to say, just, forget about it or just ignore it. It's because it's there, and especially if you're reading it, and people are, and a fake profile is saying shit just to bring you down for whatever reason. Of course it's going to affect you. Especially when you're prominent on social media.
Yeah. So it's I've definitely had it.
Yeah.
You've definitely had it.
Yeah. Well, I do want to I want to focus first on because why we're talking about this is because you've recently have had to deal with it. So what's happened? Because I don't really know the full story. You've only just briefly mentioned it.
Yeah. Well, it's all actually come around me making decisions around my coaching and where I'm going, which is a huge decision.
Yeah.
And it's hard. You've been with someone for so long and anyway, so the thing about it is that not a lot of people, some people are not happy, some people are happy, some people are super supportive and some people are not. Some people have something to do with the situation, some people are completely have nothing to do with me or the situation or my coaching or my profession or whatever. But I think that's the other thing with social media. People feel like they can say whatever they want. So even if they don't know me or do know me, it doesn't matter how close or far away they are, they feel like they have the right to put their input, opinion, or, onto you, whether it be good, bad, or ugly. And as I said, it's unfiltered. So I've had some like comments and that made on both my social media and my new coach's social media.
Which is really weird because it's only just started happening. Like of all the times that, like you're posting and whatever.
I think early in the days when I first started posting and you first start to get like a little bit, and success comes with that as well. Like people want to bring you down. People 100%. Get jealous and people want to bring you down. And it sounds egotistic, but it's not. It's just the truth. Like the bigger you get and the more successful you get, people...
The more haters you get.
The more haters you get. And people want to bring you down. They don't want to see you succeed. And why is that? Because it ignites something within themselves that they're not achieving. So then that angst, anger and whatever, they don't want to inflict it on themselves, so they inflict it on someone else. And that's across all of our life, right? So onto our kids, onto our husbands, 100%. Partners, whatever, But the biggest lesson is looking at yourself. But so early days I had a lot, and then I think we'd said in a podcast recently, I haven't had much sort of attacking or anything online. Like a lot have been very, very supportive. I mean, there's a lot of deviants out there that love muscly women, so you get and I guess that's part of this conversation as well. Like some of the the sexual messages and the invitations and that I get are pretty full on.
You do also then go, I could make some money here.
And you know what? We could talk about that as well because some girls do. Like,
I know.
OnlyFans and this and that. And
we're talking like, and I'm sure you've had the same thing because I feel like there's just a group of them. They'll ask for, underpants and, sweaty underpants and things after a workout. They want it and they're willing to pay.
When I got back from London, I got offered thousands for that pro bikini. Thousands,
unwashed.
Tens of thousands, unwashed. They want it. It's but each their own, whatever. And I think the whole thing is do you take it on board or not? And as like getting back to like early days, I did take it on board, and I was like getting upset about it. I was like, oh my gosh, like this person hates me, and my husband was like, do you even know them? I'm like, no, and he's like, well, why do you care? Like, oh yeah. And it's really easy to get wrapped up in that. Like your followers are your followers. So I think you have to remember that social media is a business. It is a business. And as much as I personally try and keep it as real as possible so it's relatable, I don't use filters, I don't use this, I don't use that, so that if I'm walking down the street, people can recognize me.
I'm the opposite. I said I'm the opposite. Filter that bitch up. I don't want to be recognized on the street.
But I think, for quite some time there, I didn't have, whether maybe I was shut off to it. Like maybe I just didn't see it. I was just like, whatever. Anyway, recently with things that are going on, I've made changes. I've made a little bit of changes to my social media. We're doing the podcast, so I'm more out there. I think everything has played a role of getting me out there and more known. That's brought more of the hate. And maybe because I am putting myself out there and I am a little bit uncomfortable at that, have I opened up a sensitivity to taking on those messages of hate and thinking, so
it's kind of like going outside your circle, and exposing yourself to more and bigger audience.
So recently I have had people messaging, like commenting on posts, on my posts, on my new coach's posts, and private messaging me as well. about my decision and why I've done it or why I haven't done it or
And these
whatever.
are fake accounts, right? Like
So some have not been fake accounts, but I've also had one of the bigger one was a fake account.
Yeah.
And gone on to my coach's, one of his posts on me.
Right.
And attacking me about the way that I made the decision or the timing I've made the decision or whatever. Now, so I'm pretty sure I know who that was.
Because I'm like, what does that matter to anyone else?
It shouldn't matter to anyone.
No.
It shouldn't matter to anyone whatsoever unless you are involved in the situation of some sort.
Yeah.
So we were talking about this a little bit the other day, and I was saying that you know what? It upsets you.
Yeah.
And as much as...
Because you're human.
You're human, yeah. Like, you know, the whole situation was really, really hard. It was a hard decision.
Yeah.
And moving through that itself was hard on a private, and I didn't talk about it. I haven't spoken about it.
You really dealt with that,
I really, really tried to stay as professional as possible about it, and not that and positive and loyal, honest, open, transparent. The whole time, which I am in any of my relationships.
Yeah.
And so when you get attacked on that sort of level, it's personal as well, because you're like fuck you know me.
Yeah.
You know me as a person.
Yeah, this is not just someone, like, it's not like, and you could probably tell by you know what they're saying
and
as to how close they are to knowing what's going on, because no random is going to do that. You can tell when someone's baiting for certain things and they're like they actually don't know you, because they will say things that are just quite blasé but still cutting or whatever. But and when they're like talking about certain things, you're like, how close are you? You know?
So I think with social media, like when you get attacked or bullied or, you know, get those gruesome comments or even private messages. It's one thing when it's someone that you don't know, but it's a whole different ball game when it's someone that you do.
Absolutely.
But and I think the intensity of it just makes it so much worse when it is someone that you know, and the things that they
are saying.
Yeah. And you know what? Like with this one in particular, it wasn't so much what they were saying, because I was so open and honest and truthful and everything, that I held my chest high, my head high. So it wasn't actually the words, because I was like, no, that's not true. Like, so that didn't really hurt me. It was the person that was writing it. That hurt. From like, you know, Facebook messages to Instagram messages to, you know, comments on. And that's what hurts. Even more so, I think, with that one. How do you deal with that?
How do you do it? I do want to talk about it, because I mean, when we spoke about this the other week, off camera, this is a private conversation we were talking about. You were saying that I think your boys may have questioned you about something, because they could notice the change. They noticed that
I was, you know, it was, and we talked a lot about through this whole time as well too. Like it was really hard, and I mentally went sort of up and down a bit. Even though I tried to keep parts of my life on track, it was emotionally hard. And my boys were a very, very close family, and they picked up that I was hurting. They picked up that I was not happy. And the eldest one in particular, who said is quite sensitive, he was like, Mummy, what's wrong? And I'm like, and I try not to hide anything, but I just thought I couldn't talk about it, because I knew that he would know, like, some of the people involved and what's going on. And I never want to taint, like, someone else's opinion or image of someone else or anything like that. So I kept it from them. You know, but they knew I wasn't happy, that I wasn't right. And every day, like, the eldest one would come out and goes, Mummy, are you okay? And anyway, so he could see that I was getting better and better over the time. And he would tell me too, he goes, oh, Mummy, you look happy today, or you look good today. Or, I'm like, I do feel heaps better, thank you. But I have a girlfriend who is in psychology industry.
Yeah.
And I've spoken, she's been my savior over the
Yeah.
last year and a half. We've
Yeah.
spoken about that too.
Yeah.
You know, I truly think if she wasn't in my life, she's like a sister, but
Yeah.
I would be in cuckoo land.
Yeah.
Like 100%.
I feel like we're all got that one, but
Yeah.
that person
Yeah.
that, you know, you would
And
be
I
in
was
cuckoo land
talking to
without
her about it, like all of this, and she's like, Chrissy, you've just been given the biggest gift. And I was like, huh?
Yeah.
You know, and I am the first to try and switch everything into a positive and see the gift in it, see the lesson in it, see the growth in it.
Yeah.
And she's like, tell your boy what's going on. And I was like, oh, no, I can't.
Yeah.
She's like, well, yeah, you can.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, okay, so how do I go about that without, because I tell you everything.
Yeah.
Like if I tell you something, you get the whole truth and
Yeah,
nothing but the truth.
yeah.
You know, and I didn't want to do that because I didn't want to, because there was people involved in the whole situation that we knew, I didn't want anything tainted, you know.
Yeah.
And I do think that's important for everyone to form their own opinion of, you know, people or whatever. Anyway, so she was like, well, you don't have to divulge everything, but there is a huge lesson in there that the kids can learn. Anyway, so I was like, okay, all right, we'll see how this goes. And so I came home and I said to the oldest one, I was like, hey, you know how mummy hasn't been very well like I've been unhappy and a bit sad and whatever. He's like, yeah. And I said, oh, like, thanks for checking in on me. Like, I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I said to him, can I tell you what happened?
Yeah.
He's like, well, yeah, of course. Anyway, so we laid on the bed, like pillow talk. And I said, like, you know how mummy has Instagram and she has lots of followers and I've been successful. And I said, you know, like sometimes people don't want to see that. They don't want to see you succeed. And they do try and bring you down by comments or attack or whatever it may be. And I said, like, it's most of the time mummy can just ignore it and pass it off. But recently I've had some going on that has upset me. And he's like, oh, okay. And I said, the reason is because it's people close to me. I know who they are.
Yeah.
And that's what has really hurt.
Yeah.
You know, and I said to him, like, it happens quite often, you know, online, whatever, you can get comments or attacks or people saying nasty things about you that are most often than not true.
Yeah.
You know, it's just assumptions that they've made up in their narratives that they've made up in their head. But when they're saying things about you, it doesn't feel good, you know, because you know it's not the truth, and you know, and most of the time it's not who you are as a person, and they're portraying you to be a bad person rather than the good person you are. I said, but you know, it makes it 10 times worse when it's someone that you thought loved you and supported you and really cared about you and is close to you. So you thought no matter what happened, they would be there. And I said, when it's someone like that, it's really hurtful. Really hurtful. And he's like, oh wow, yeah, that is. And I said, but like, we've got to work through it and whatever. Anyway, so he's like, oh, okay, but you're happy now. And I said, yeah, like it's been time and I'm okay now. Like it's still there, but I'm all right.
I think that's really important for him to, you know, I know that you didn't want to say anything at the start when, you know, he asked you if anything was wrong, but like to see, you know, you, or, you know, to tell him, but he can see the positives, like, you know, that you all come out of it and that it's okay. Rather than you telling him at the start and him seeing you
just
suffer.
Seeing me go worse and worse and worse. And think, whoa, like when's this going to end? 100%. Like it probably was divine timing, good timing that I could say to him. So, you know, positively just say, like, you do get through it and these things do happen. And it is really hurtful, especially when it's people close to you that you really did not expect that would happen. And
makes me just want to go on and try and find this comment now.
There's no need. We'll talk about it. Like,
have you deleted it, or did you just leave it?
No, whatever. But anyway, so I said to my boy, like, you know, I'm good now. It's okay. Like, you know, these things, and you learn a lot, and you learn like who will be there through thick and thin. You know, in hard times or times when you're down or whatever it may be. Anyway, so he started high school this year.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he just switched it straight away and said, "Oh, like, thanks for telling me, Mum." I was like, "Oh, thanks for listening. Like, I really appreciate it. I know you noticed that I was sad." And he goes, "Yeah, no, I know that, at high school or whatever, if I get bullied, I can come and tell you."
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow.
Gosh,
like what a beautiful door that just opened.
Yeah.
And like it probably was open before. We had a
Yeah.
great relationship, but for him to actually say, like, "Oh, if something happens, I'm going to come and tell you."
Yeah.
I was like, oh, you know what? Everything and everyone involved, thank you.
Is that like a big fear of like parents, like that their kid's going to be bullied? Because I have this fear.
I think
but for a
so.
kid that's not even here yet and
I
going,
think so. And I think
you just
like,
don't want them to be bullied.
like when we were at school, bullying happened, but it's to your face pretty much.
Yeah.
Right? And now we're talking social media. So there's a whole nother element that is taken to a whole nother level.
Yeah. Well, if anything happened at school, it stayed at school, 3 p.m.
Yeah.
You were home. You got to be at home. You felt safe. It was fun. Now because
It's
of technology,
almost the opposite. There's no technology at school,
but it's technology
at
home. Yeah.
They're straight on everything, and that's where it can happen.
And I feel for parents because as much as they try and go, we'll try and stop that from happening with social media especially. It's also you're also stopping your child from enjoying an experience of social media and being able to connect with their friends. You're trying to protect them. It's a bloody tough one.
It's a really hard one to navigate.
Yeah.
So I don't hold any grudge or now that I've worked through it, I'm actually really thankful for the experience. So thank you.
Yeah.
I am. No, I truly am.
Yeah.
It's really opened my eyes to, you know what? Even we could do a whole episode on relationships of just what I've been through recently and learned about people and how to deal with, people who are in a hurt situation. Hurt people hurt, right? Heal people heal.
Yeah.
And I've said that so many times recently, and the more I say it, I'm like, whoa, that's so, so true.
It really
and it gives you, if you believe that, you can start to understand why maybe these people are saying the things that they're saying.
Yeah.
And it actually gives you, with that understanding yourself, you don't hold a grudge.
No, if anything, you feel sorry for them.
You feel sorry for them. And you know what, like, especially with this recently, I've really tried to put myself in the shoes of anyone who's been involved in this and try and understand why they would be reacting the way they're reacting, why they're saying the things that they're saying.
Yeah.
And the more you put yourself in someone else's shoes, the more you understand, and I think you have a bit more leeway with what's going on. But more than that, you deal with it yourself and go, it's not me.
Yeah.
Because when you're going through things like that and you're being attacked, you do question yourself.
Yeah.
Like you do, like, well, am I a good person? Like, I'm a good person, right?
Yeah.
Like, I haven't done anything wrong. Have I? No, I haven't done anything wrong.
Yeah.
You really start to question yourself. But you know what? That's what they should be doing.
100%. You got to, put it back on that.
Everyone in every situation should be questioning themselves, looking in the mirror and going, okay, did they actually do something wrong, or is that out of character? If it's out of character, if someone acts out of character, it's out of character.
Yeah.
Question it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, question it, but it's hard to do that on social media when you're you're trying not to engage. You don't want to engage with this person through social media, and it's like essentially you're just fighting a brick wall, aren't you?
And I think there's a fine line between minding your own business and being a fan as well on social media.
Yeah.
So a lot of fans, are super positive.
Yes.
But there's followers that just need to mind their own business as well.
Yeah.
Whether that's just their personality trait or whether that's what they're going through and they're dealing with and then reflecting it on someone else through social media and whatever. But yeah, I think, if it's not your business, mind your own business.
Yeah. I mean, people can have their opinions.
Absolutely.
I get that.
I love opinions and
I
I love conflicting opinions too. Like I love it when someone will go, yeah, but what about this? And you go, ooh, I never thought of it that way.
You know,
but you have to be in the situation, the mindset to be open to, take that on board and actually go, okay, I'm going to sit on that and think about that.
Yeah. But also too, it's your life.
It's your
you're
life.
The one who has to be disciplined. You're the one that's like, wanting to eat a bloody cheeseburger when you can only have so much chicken and rice. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you're the one that's at the gym, bloody training your bloody ass off. Like, this is why I wouldn't fucking put anyone else's opinion. I'd be like, well, if you fucking do what I do, and then I'll take your opinion.
But I think that's exactly it. They know they can't do
what you do.
I do. Like this morning.
They're not going to Olympias.
Whether it's a reflection of that they're not happy because they're not doing what they want to do in life, or whatever. So it's reflected on someone that whether they know you or don't know you online, like getting away from all the stuff like this recent experience, but even just generally people lash out online, right?
Yeah.
And like, oh, you shouldn't be doing the exercise like that. I'm like, well,
yeah, it's working for me so far.
It's working, like and that's another thing you get, like, people just randomly, and you think, okay, well, what's your educational background? Like, what's your experience? But how do you deal with all of this? Is, I think, a really hard one. And I think it's being so confident and content in yourself that you are a good person. You are an honest person. You are as real as you possibly can. And when you are, like with this recent stuff, I said, I've held my chest and head high. Even though it hurt. But I've not backed down. I know I'm a good person. I know I'm honest. I know I'm truthful. I know I've done all that I possibly can to keep everyone happy in the situation. Which I try and do all the time. But
which is never a win for anyone.
And that's right. Really, it's never a win for everyone. No one is ever going to be happy no matter what you do. There's always going to be someone that feels differently. There's always going to be someone that wanted a different outcome. And that's where this comes from all realms, not just this situation, but on social media all the time. Like, I truly believe, like, if you're in that mindset of, you are calm and content and happy with the way that you are and what you're doing, what you're saying and what you are doing, both, and you truly feel content in that, so it's honest to you, then you can positively move forward from it. I think it's only when you doubt what you say and do because you're not doing it honestly with yourself, like truly for yourself or with yourself, then you start to doubt, was that the right thing to do, or was that not the right thing to do? Like, if you're not super happy with the decision or the action, then that's when you start to reflect and think, I'm not really sure about that, know. But so, and then I think on social media, no response is any good response because they're looking for a response.
They're looking for
people you don't know. It doesn't matter, across the board. They want reaction. They want a feisty reaction. They want to trigger you.
100%.
They want to.
You can go on someone's, especially high profile accounts, and you, without a doubt, you will see some random comment that is just a stab at the person for whatever reason, like, and
how much do you see it on like newspaper, like, Sunshine Coast Daily, this and that? In radio, popped it more than I'm coughing it. Like,
we will get into that. I do want to share my experience with social media. It was a little bit different because there is so many things that I just wish I did that could have made my life so much easier. But at the time, I didn't know what to do. And I just did whatever I felt I had to do to keep myself safe at the time. But gosh, looking back, I go, far out. why didn't I continue? Why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? But what we're going to do is going to wrap this one up, and we'll move it to the next part. We will talk about my traumatic social media experience. Still affects me now. Still affects me to this day. But we'll wrap this one up. Catch you in the next one. Mwah! Bye. Love you.
Ready?